My blood was pounding in my ears as a dozen bass boats surrounded my little aluminum skiff like sharks circling their prey. A woman, clearly the ringleader, screeched through a garish pink megaphone, "Get your junk boat off our lake, now." I sat there, rod in hand, stunned. I'd just moved to Willow Creek 2 months ago, hoping for some peace after a messy divorce, and now here I was, minding my own business, fishing on what I thought was a public lake, being treated like a criminal. The sheer audacity of these people was unreal. Have you ever been cornered by self-important bullies who think they own the world? Well, this time, they picked the wrong guy to mess with. It was a crisp Saturday morning in June 2024, and I was out on Willow Creek Lake, just trying to enjoy a quiet day of fishing. Suddenly, this flotilla of bass boats appeared, engines roaring, creating waves that rocked my boat. Leading the charge was a guy named Victor, standing tall in his gleaming vessel like some wannabe naval commander. "This is the Willow Creek Fishing Society's private water, leased legally," he bellowed through a bullhorn, his voice dripping with fake authority. I stayed calm, gripping my fishing rod, and asked, "Leased from who exactly?" Victor puffed up, his chest practically bursting with pride. "My late uncle, Harold Grayson, who owned this entire lake." I raised an eyebrow. "That's a bold claim. Your uncle owned the whole lake?" I pressed. "Yes," he shot back, "and he transferred exclusive fishing rights to our club before he passed." That's when Clara, the HOA president, chimed in, her voice screeching through that ridiculous pink megaphone, feedback squealing like nails on a chalkboard. "The HOA recognizes these rights to protect our community's property values," she declared to no one in particular. I tried to explain I was new to the area and thought the lake was public, but Victor wasn't having it. "You're dead wrong," he shouted. "We pay $50,000 a year for exclusive access." That number caught my attention. 50 grand is serious money. Who gets those payments? I asked, genuinely curious. Victor's face reddened. "The Grayson Estate Trust, through proper legal channels," he barked. "I'm no lawyer, but that sounded like something I could verify. Mind if I see the paperwork?" I asked casually. Clara lost it. "Private documents. Leave now," she screamed, nearly tipping her boat as she leaned forward to thrust an HOA violation notice at me. The scene was absurd. 12 high-end bass boats surrounding my beat-up skiff, engines churning the water into a frothy mess, while I sat there with a beer and a fishing rod, trying not to laugh. Victor's bullhorn screeched, scaring off every fish in a mile radius, ironic for a fishing club. Clara almost fell into the lake serving her notice, and the wakes from their boats soaked everyone but me. Victor issued an ultimatum. "You have 24 hours to remove your vessel from our waters." He said vessel, like my little boat was a pirate ship. Clara piled on, threatening legal action and fines for criminal trespassing. I promised to look into the legal situation, because something about this felt off. As the bass boat armada retreated, I paddled over to Old Man Henry, a longtime resident watching from his dock, shaking his head. "Henry, ever hear of this Harold Grayson owning the lake?" I asked. His face paled, and he glanced around nervously. "Jake, where'd you hear that name?" he whispered, his voice shaky. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a fishing dispute, this was something bigger. Henry's reaction spooked me. "Jake, I knew your grandpa for 40 years. He never mentioned any Harold Grayson," he said, his voice low. "I've lived here since '79, and that name's never come up." I pressed him. "You think Victor's lying?" Henry paused. "Or someone's lying to Victor. Your grandpa was meticulous about property lines and legal matters." That night, I couldn't sleep, replaying Henry's words and wondering what I'd stumbled into. The next morning, I drove to the county courthouse in nearby Riverbend to dig into the records. The clerk, Sarah, was swamped but promised to fit me in. Meanwhile, Victor was rallying his fishing society for a final resolution, with 40 boats, and Clara was setting up a live stream for community accountability. Their confidence was almost comical, but I had a hunch they were in for a shock. Sarah called me that evening, her voice urgent. "Mr. Thompson, I found something odd in your grandfather's property file. Can you come in early tomorrow?" My heart raced. At the courthouse, Sarah laid out documents dating back to 1895. "No Harold Grayson in any lake ownership records," she confirmed. Then she dropped a bombshell. "Your grandfather, Edward Thompson, bought Willow Creek Lake in 1960, not just the house, but the entire lake, Water rights, mineral rights, everything. I was floored. The deed and survey maps showed I owned the whole damn lake, including the fishing society's clubhouse and dock, built on my land without permission. As I processed this, Victor was leading 25 base boats toward me in a military-style formation, with Clara live-streaming to 300 viewers and a local news crew trailing behind. I sat calmly, my folder of documents ready, phone on speaker. Victor blared through his bullhorn. Final warning. Leave our leased waters. I gave him one last chance. Who was Harold Grayson to you? I called out. My uncle, the legal owner, he replied confidently. I asked about the paperwork, and he waved some papers, claiming a 2018 transfer. That's when I called Sarah. Sarah, can you confirm who owns Willow Creek Lake? I asked, loud enough for all to hear. Jacob Thompson, inherited in 2023 from Edward Thompson's estate. Deed filed in 1960, she said clearly. Silence fell. Victor's face went from smug to panicked. Any record of Harold Grayson owning the lake? I continued. None. Going back to 1895, Sarah replied. The fishing society members started muttering. You said your uncle owned this lake, one shouted. We paid for access to property you don't own, another added. Clara's live stream chat exploded with accusations of fraud. I held up the 1960 deed. Victor, your clubhouse is on my land, I said. He screamed about a conspiracy, but the evidence was undeniable. Sarah confirmed the deed's legitimacy, and 18 boats fled in panic. The news crew swarmed Victor, who was now a sweating mess. Clara, still streaming, ranted about a county conspiracy. I gave them 48 hours to remove the clubhouse or face the sheriff. Then, Henry shouted from shore. Jake, look what Victor dropped. A glinting object in the water turned out to be a USB drive with files exposing a network of fake fishing clubs across multiple states, all using the same scam. The FBI later contacted me, revealing Victor was a small player in a $50 million fraud ring. My grandfather's old tackle box held a key to a safe deposit box, containing decades of his notes on fighting similar schemes. I'd inherited not just a lake, but a legacy. The aftermath was wild. Clara chained herself to the clubhouse, live-streaming her heroic resistance to 12 viewers until the sheriff cut her free. Victor's boat was repossessed, his wife left him, and he ended up fishing with a kid's rod from shore. The community rallied, with free fishing for all, boosting local businesses by $200,000 annually. I became an accidental fraud fighter, helping shut down 47 fake clubs nationwide. Susan, a researcher who became my wife, and I now travel to liberate other communities. But here's the kicker. Who sent that mysterious text at my White House commendation ceremony? Warning of a bigger conspiracy? What secrets are still buried in my grandfather's files? And how far does this fraud network really go? Share your thoughts below. Have you ever faced bullies like Victor and Clara? What would you do with proof of a massive scam? Like, subscribe, and let's keep exposing the truth together.